Listening to Jazz Interviews with Dan. Only Jazz Live from Jupiter.co.uk.
Yes, that's right, you're listening to Jazz Live from Jupiter Radio. I'm here, I'm currently doing an interview with Ollie Howell, who has just released his album. He played at Love Supreme as well. A really, really talented musician. Hello Ollie.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome. Let's get straight to it. What inspires you to write your music?
Well, this first album was all inspired over kind of about 3 or 4 years of my life when I was studying at music college, and I halfway through I got diagnosed with a brain malformation, and I had to very suddenly go and have neurosurgery, and was thrown into a whole world I knew nothing about, and totally detached from music, and I couldn't really do anything, couldn't play, I just had to sit kind of waiting to see what would happen next. And so during that time I just found I was writing loads of music, so it was kind of all inspired by the feelings or the events that were going on throughout that time, that point in my life, so it's quite kind of autobiographical. And then since then I've been trying to write in a kind of similar way, trying to just write about my experiences, and I guess it's the same for everybody really. I try and just keep it as open as possible and see what happens.
Yeah. So your first album, why the title? Why the title Sutures and Stitches?
Well, I liked the sort of metaphorical idea that you know, even when things happen that are bad and that really affect you, you can kind of, they might leave a scar, or you know, they might require some stitches, but the scar and the stitches will fade, and you just find a way to grow from that. And I really liked that aspect of it, because everybody has bad things happen in their life, so it was something that everybody could kind of relate to, and we all kind of just have to find ways to pick ourselves up, and that's exactly what I was doing by writing the album, so I thought it was a kind of a fitting title.
Yeah. So who was your big inspiration sort of when you were growing up and at music college and stuff?
Well, growing up, the first jazz that I ever listened to was Art Blakey. When I was about 6 or 7, I started playing piano, and my parents said, you kind of heard me picking out tunes, and said, would you like a teacher? And I said, yeah, and it happened to be a jazz teacher, and he kind of heard I had a musical ear, and just started teaching me some kind of vaguely jazzy things, and played me some Art Blakey, which I kind of just fell in love with. And then as soon as I started playing the drums at about age 12, I just dove straight into jazz again, and so that was a huge influence on me growing up. Not just for the drumming side, but just musically, I just thought that all that hard bop was so exciting and so energetic. And then obviously going to music college, my jazz knowledge was expanded, and just got to check out so much other stuff. But being introduced to someone like Jimmy Cobb halfway through music college, and meeting him and then becoming his friend was just hugely important for me as a musician and as a drummer, to just get that knowledge and that experience firsthand from him. And it's I still have to pinch myself when I think about having him as a mentor.
So we've discussed your inspirations, but how long have you been playing your instrument? Because obviously you started off by saying you started with the piano.
Yeah, I think I've been playing drums since about age 12 or thereabouts.
So quite a long time then.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't feel like that long, and then as soon as when I put it like that, I guess it does seem like quite a while. But it's just still something that, you know, you'll always feel like you've got so far to go still, and there's so many people around that are doing inspiring work, and you always just try and keep on your toes.
Well, it's such a competitive world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny though. It seems a lot more competitive when you're at music college, because you have other people around you at about the same sort of ability, and you're all sort of learning at about the same rate, and the competitive nature of it's really obvious and really evident there. But as soon as you get into the real world, that kind of falls away a bit, and everybody's just so lovely and just checking other people out, and there's not really he's better than him or her, and it's more just everybody making music and checking it out.
Yeah, yeah. So where did you study?
I studied at the Royal Welsh College of Music in Cardiff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I had a great time. I had some amazing experiences there, meeting Jimmy Cobb, as I said, and meeting Quincy Jones as well. Made a lot of really nice friends, and yeah, had a really good time. So
did you do just a jazz-based course, or did you do an overall music course?
Yeah, I did a music degree focusing in jazz studies. So we had quite a small jazz department, which was great, and we had some amazing teachers, both regular ones and ones that would come in, especially from London every so often as well. So yeah, I feel I was really fortunate with the teaching that I got there.
Would you recommend that college to people who want to study jazz?
Yeah, I mean, it's every music college is going to have, you know, slightly mixed abilities and things, and I think some of the music colleges outside of London, sometimes people automatically assume that the standard's not going to be quite as good, but I don't think that necessarily has to be the case. I think there's you know, always going to be people at colleges that kind of shine out, and that the ones who want to work harder. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth going and having a look. I think one of the things that really drew me to it was when I went round and had an open day when I was looking at music colleges. Everyone was just so warm and friendly, and that's kind of the main reason. I just thought, yeah, this is a place I'd like to spend 4 years and learning about music.
Yeah, yeah. So we discussed before the show started about your set at Love Supreme. Could you just describe to the listeners, you know, how that was and how it felt to be there?
Yeah, I mean, it was just such an amazing experience for me. I've especially as a band leader, I've never done a show to that many people before. My CD only came out the end of last year, and you know, we've only been playing with a band on the road since then. So it was amazing to just play to such a big audience and such an appreciative audience. And it's such an amazing festival as well. We all had such a great time checking out all the rest of the music and just having an amazing time at the weekend.
So the question is that have you been asked back, or?
Oh no, I don't think they probably even thought about who's going to be on next year yet. I think it's probably a bit early, but you know, I'd absolutely love to go back another time, perhaps when the second album's out, you know, and yeah, I'd absolutely love to go back.
Mm. Well, we're going to play one of your tracks now from your album, Sutures and Stitches. It's A World Apart, probably my personal favourite from your album. So yeah, we're going to play this. You're currently listening to Dan, and I'm talking to Ollie Howell, who has released an album. It's called Sutures and Stitches. Great album, definitely worth checking out. We're on Twitter at JazzOlofJupiter. Go and check us out for all the latest news, and we're also online at www.jazzlivefromjupiter.co.uk. Hello, welcome back. You're listening to Jazz Live from Jupiter Radio. It's Dan. I'm here with Ollie Howell, who has just released an album, and he played at Love Supreme Festival. So welcome back, Ollie.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Before we left, we were talking about music colleges and your experiences with meeting famous artists. So we were wondering, what was your connection with Quincy Jones?
Well, when I was, I guess, in my second year, Quincy had found out that he was a quarter Welsh, and the college had offered him an honorary doctorate, which he'd been thrilled to accept. So my head of jazz asked me if I'd go and meet him at his hotel and take him back to college, where we were going to do a masterclass, which of course I said yes to straight away. And yeah, I just remember him coming down in the lift and meeting me in the lobby, and just straight away he was just so.
Sorry, please continue.
That's all right. So we had a great chat in the taxi on the way to college, talking about music, and he was just such a lovely guy. And then I got to play.
Sorry, the connection keeps going. I'm sorry about this.
That's all right. So yeah, and so luckily he for some reason liked what he heard, and he kind of just said, "You're sticking with me for the next few days," and we just hung out at his hotel.
in his hotel.
Yeah, and we just talked for days, and he kind of invited me to New York to meet some musicians he's been working with, and out to Montreux, and he's just been an incredible supportive mentor, and still continues to be.
So you said that he gave you a masterclass.
Yeah, it was a funny kind of masterclass because he wasn't in town for that long, so it was more we were kind of just presenting music to him. I guess I think there were 2 or 3 groups that played to him in front of a large audience and some BBC Wales cameras, I think, as well. So it was a kind of completely surreal experience, just having to sit and then play to what seems like a regular audience, but has Quincy Jones right at the front of it.
Yeah. So when you say like you had to perform, were you like really nervous?
No, I honestly didn't have any time to be. I walked through the door with him, and then we walked down kind of the middle of the rows, and then he sat at the front, and I just carried on walking and sat on the drum kit, and then had to play. So I really didn't have any time to think about anything.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that being a really, really, really amazing experience that you would never forget.
Oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And the fact that I kept thinking at the time, if this is the first and last time that I ever get to meet him, this will just make my life anyway. But the fact that we've sort of continued and continued our friendship over the last year since then, and it's still going, just I really have to pinch myself.
Would you say that changed your life?
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, not just from the experience of meeting him, but at the time when I met him as well was just before I had to go in and before I got diagnosed with this brain malformation. And I'm not sure whether if I hadn't have met him and Jimmy around that time, whether I would have been inspired to start writing my own music quite so soon and have that drive to do it. I think that the combination of those things happening at the same time was just kind of perfect catalyst for me to do something that I really wanted to do in music.
Yeah. So would you say that he is like one of your biggest inspirations because he inspired you to write, or gave you almost the courage to write so much music?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And he's just such an inspiring human being to be around as well. And he's introduced me to so many people, and I've made so many new friends through him and because of him. And he's such an inspiration, and he just absolutely loves music and everything to do with it. And to see somebody like him that I have so much respect for, just having such a good time still, and just loving every minute of music, it's hugely inspiring.
I can't imagine what it must have felt like to meet him and then perform in front of him. I can't even imagine how exciting that would be.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a bit strange really, because at the time I wasn't kind of aware what I was doing. I've always kind of, when people talk about stage fright, I personally kind of have this cut off from the edge of the bandstand where I don't really think about anything else, and I'm really trying to just concentrate on what's happening with the other musicians around me and the music in general. So it was only really when I put my sticks down after playing the song when I started to realise what the pressure and what had just happened.
Yeah.
But luckily at that point I'd already done my job. So
I bet it was an immense feeling though, just sort of walking off and knowing that you performed in front of one of the greatest names in jazz, really.
I mean, it was just so surreal. It didn't properly settle in until a couple of days afterwards, when I just thought, wow, that actually happened.
Yeah, I mean that is almost like a life-changing experience, really.
Yeah, I guess you don't really appreciate the moments in your life that really change things until afterwards. But yeah, I'm just always thankful that I was in that situation. Yeah.
So have you got any more gigs that you got coming up?
Yeah, we're kind of we've got Bracken Jazz Festival in just less than 2 weeks, I believe, or about then, which I'm really excited to play at. It'll be the first time I played there with my own group, and it's their 30th anniversary year as well. So it's going to be a really special festival. I'm really looking forward to that.
Really.
And then we've got a couple more this month, and then pretty much from September through until we record our next album in November, we've got this pre-recording tour So we're going up and we're doing 5 days in Scotland, and we're doing lots of other dates around the country, just kind of playing in all the new music, because I've only ever recorded my first album in a situation where we just rehearsed it, got all the music ready, did the recording, and then by the end of the tour we were kind of really feeling happy with the music, and it was really kind of evolving every night on stage. So I wanted to do it the other way around this time, and really practice all the music live and really get a feeling for it, and sort of find out where we can take it, and then record it at the end of the tour. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. Do
you ever get tired of like constantly being on the road and recording and such?
No, I mean I don't feel that way at all, especially at the moment. I can imagine if you're doing like 300 dates a year, the travel might get quite tiring, but yeah. I feel lucky that the rest of my guys, the guys in my band, really are some of my best friends, and we have such a good time all together. And the music's always changing as well. We never get tired of the music. I mean, obviously we're doing a lot of new material at the moment, so that also helps. But even the stuff we've been playing for years now, we're always trying to find a new way to make it exciting and to change it a little bit.
I mean, whenever you sort of go out and perform as a performer, you always kind of think, right, we're gonna play this way. But when you're actually there and you're doing that song, it can change, the flick of a coin, really.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's one of the things I love about jazz, and especially about jazz drumming, is you've got to be prepared to go with whatever. The pianist might play a certain thing that makes some of you think of something else, and you just go with it, and you've just got to be absolutely prepared to do so. But that makes it so exciting. And there's always, for myself, I know if there's a section of the music, like in A World Apart there, where at the end where we quite often go kind of a bit wild on the piano solo, I always try and approach the start of that section as openly as possible and just let Matt do whatever he wants, and I'll just sort of follow him blindly into the abyss. And I absolutely love that freedom where you never know where it's going to go, where it's going to take you.
It's almost like the music's unfinished, just because there is no sort of knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is one of the ways that it helps it never get old, really, as long as you're all comfortable enough to have that freedom and that trust, I guess, within the group as well.
Yeah, I think I'm always still a firm believer of walking into a recording studio and just sort of a little bit of rehearsal before, but like just one take. And if you do it wrong, then you've just got to live with it.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have a record that doesn't sound too polished and too kind of edited and put together. People want to hear the real side of it. It shouldn't. I'm not saying every jazz album should sound like a live album, but there should always be that element of like it's a live performance, because it is. Even in the studio, you're playing for each other, but it's still a kind of live environment. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
I think also that people criticise jazz musicians because when they go to a show, they don't sound like they'll do a song, but they'll change it so it doesn't sound like the record. I think for some people that's a great prospect, but I think for other people it can be disappointing. But
yeah, perhaps I could see that. I mean, for me, if I go and see a jazz show from an album that I loved, I'm kind of really excited to see how they've changed it and how the music's evolved for them over their tour or over the years. And so it's kind of it's the same but different. I think that's really exciting. It's something I personally try and get with my group as much as we can as well.
Yeah, I think if you can manage to write a song and then change it so that people will still know what it is, I think you're a really, really clever musician.
Well, yeah, I think there's a sort of a magic thing that happens when you've been playing with a group of people for long enough, where you will just lock in together, and whether you're doing something that you've been doing like let's say a head that you've been playing for years and years, you can still find a way to make it sound exciting, even if it's the same thing. And then you get to these improvisation sections where you're all completely together, even when you're completely together in the unknown. I think it's an amazing feeling, and I feel really lucky to have that with my band.
Yeah, I do like that element of mystery, so you don't know where a song is going to go until you kind of get there, and then we all sort of go off and do your own thing, almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think once you have that trust within a group as well, you're all kind of egging each other on a little bit to see where you can take it. And I know, especially for the Love Supreme gig, we were all just having such a good time. We were so excited. We were kind of really letting loose with the improvisation sections and pushing it as far as we could, which was so much fun.
Yeah. So how long have you been together as sort of a group, continuing with you and your group?
Well, we've actually been rehearsing on and off for maybe going on 4 years or so now, 3.5 years.
Really?
When I first started writing the music for the first album, I'd be sort of in and out of hospital, and whenever I wasn't, I'd be kind of meeting up with them and be rehearsing, trying out some of the new music. So we'd been rehearsing on and off for a very long time, and then we had one gig with it before we recorded it, and then we just went into the studio and did it. So it was totally just sort of rehearse for the album and then see what happens with it. But yeah, they're all just such unbelievable musicians. They're all so good individually, but they're also all such team players, and they're all such great composers with their own bands as well. They've all got amazing projects with CDs either out now or coming out soon. And it's just really humbling to have such amazing people in my band, and some of my best friends too.
I can imagine that makes it much easier to practice and rehearse and to perform with when you have got band members that are really close friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're spending a lot of time travelling with each other, and that it really does help when you have to spend a lot of time on a motorway traffic jam or something when you've got some friends in the car. But yeah, it's just being on stage with your friends is what I grew up wanting to do. I've always wanted to play music for that aspect of playing with other people, and it's just, there's nothing more special than playing with some of your best friends. It's absolutely incredible. I feel so fortunate to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine that it would be enjoyable, but not as enjoyable to play with people that you don't know.
I mean, yeah, there's always an element of excitement when you're at, let's say, a jam session where you're playing with new people, or if you're sharing the stage with somebody you haven't played with before, kind of trying to work out each other's playing. But it's just this kind of this telepathy that happens when you've been playing with guys for a long time, and I think also, it does help when you're friends because you have that extra connection as well. So yeah, it's a kind of shared private musical jokes come out and things, and it's amazing. It's sort of very, very difficult to describe that feeling.
Yeah. So I'm just going to ask one more question now. Do you do much international travelling?
Not so much at the moment, but we're hoping that next year, towards the end of next year, we're going to be starting to do some more European stuff. So
would you like to get down to sort of, France and do the Montreal festivals and stuff?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, my goal has always been just to be playing as much as I can, and as many different places as I can. I absolutely love travelling, and the travelling I have done as a musician has been incredible, and yeah, having the opportunity to do that with my band has been a goal of mine for a very long time, and it looks like that could be a reality in the near future.
I'm sure that would be amazing. So yeah, I've been Dan, and I've been talking to Ollie Howell, who has an album at the moment. It's called Sutures and Stitches. Definitely worth going to check that out on iTunes. And they are in the process of recording a new album. They're currently going to be recording in November. Do you know when you're going to bring your new album out?
No, I haven't. I'm gonna kind of see how it goes and what happens, but I think it'll probably be around springtime next year, maybe in the summer next year.
Definitely keep us informed about that, because we'd love to have you back when you release your new album out.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'd love to come back.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening. We're going to play out now with another track from Sutures and Stitches, Ollie Howell's new album. It's going to be called A Hollow Victory. So thanks for listening. You've been listening to Dan with his interviews. We've been talking to Ollie Howell. You can check us out on Twitter at JazzLFJupiter. And yeah, we're online at www.jazzlivefromjupiter.co.uk. So this is A Hollow Victory by Ollie Howell. Thanks again for letting us conduct this interview.